what's up, you guys? Rasati out here in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining me. It is the Night Owl Podcast, and as always, you know what? I'm giving you tips and tricks and insights from my own life and the life around me, and I'm hoping that it really does give you a little bit of hope every day when you get a chance to listen to this. So today I'm actually gonna break open a little bit and tell you something that I am not ashamed of, but a little bit sad to admit because this is the way I coped. I believe that most of the diagnoses out here for mental health or difficulties that people experience are actually just coping mechanisms. And I was so excited when I realized that Mastin Kipp was saying the same thing because now I feel like, okay, I'm justified in believing this. Not that I wasn't already, but it made me feel better to know somebody else felt the same way. So when I talk to you about the fact that I am not in the greatest of places when it comes to my relationship with money. I have been in situations where I had lots of money, and I've been in situations where I've had none. I've had checks bounce. I've had, my car repossessed, been evicted from my home. I've had a lot of difficulties. I've had some credit card debt and swore I'd never go back and get a credit card ever, ever, ever in my life. And then went and got a credit card and got back into debt. So I know that the relationship with money for me is really tumultuous and it doesn't feel good all the time. So what I try to do is make do with what I have. Before, when you go work and you have a steady paycheck coming, which means at the end of every month you're going to get replenished, you're going to get money back or whatever, you know that you can dream a little bit because you have money again in a little while. You just have to, collect and spend again. But for me, once I quit the rat race, I had to depend on myself. It was almost like you had base plus commission and now you don't have the commission. You don't have the base anymore. You just have the commission. So it's, work or die. You have to eat. So you have to work to eat. And this is how you get things sorted out. Well, it wasn't always easy. And what I would do is, depending on how much money I could make, I would stop dreaming just so I wouldn't get my hopes up or feel bad about the fact that I didn't have money because I knew that it was going to affect my law of attraction anyway. So what I would try to do is, let's say, for example, right, when I lost my job, I was laid off from Lumber Liquidators. Goodness, when was that? I think it was back in 2012. 2011, 2012, something like that. And obviously, I was lucky enough to have unemployment insurance through the company, so I was paid, but I had to prove that I was looking for a job, which I was, and I would submit every week, and they would pay me every week, and, I would get about $300. Now, living in a two-story house in Hampton, Virginia, with 5 people in your family, 2 cars, that doesn't cover a whole lot. So I had to get real creative. I believe that, necessity is the mother of invention. So I taught myself to cut out anything that I would have to pay for if I could make it myself. I got real thrifty and I made sure that I was, able to hit most of the sales, make sure that I was able to buy things in little bits and pieces. Back then, you still had layaway at places like Burlington Coat Factory. So I did the best I could. I was trying to provide for my family. I had 2 growing teenagers, and you can't just buy just any old anything for them. You got to make sure that, it looks nice and it's going to wear well. It's not going to fall apart after a couple of washes. It's going to last a little while because I don't want to keep having to buy stuff, right? So you kind of don't go for name brands, but you go for like a decent brand that has some longevity to it. So I got really creative and I got really careful about the money I spent. And what would happen is I would stop dreaming about the things that I wanted to make my life a little more cushy. I would do more practical things instead. So here I am back in 2020 and I'm doing the same thing. I am not rolling in money. I am doing the work. I'm diligently working towards building a network and a fan base, if you can even call it a fan base, maybe just an audience, a loyal audience who really wants to hear what I have to say and is uh, finding that they're able to soothe their soul a little bit by the things that I'm teaching. So I'm doing it little by little. I'm amping up my game little by little, but it sometimes takes a little bit of chaos to push you in the direction of, you know what? Settling for what I have at the moment and making do with what I have at the moment is not enough. I have to push forward. I have to get out of my comfort zone and get to that next level of comfort for a time, and for me it was getting used to meeting people in and around Singapore. So that means I need to have money to travel. I need to be able to run off and meet somebody if there's an emergency. I need to be able to check in and see how people are doing. Calls, be able to, if people come over to the house, be able to offer them coffee and a snack or something so that I don't feel like I am living this very, very frugal life. So it's not that it was it wasn't that I needed tons and tons of money, but I had stopped dreaming to the point that I just made enough for me and baby girl to survive. And we ate every day, and we had a little bit of luxury because I'd make cookies or I'd make brownies or I'd make anything from scratch. And we lived a good life. We had a lot of peace. We had TV, we had Netflix, we have, the essentials, I think. But like I said, it wasn't until chaos appeared in my life that I realized, you know what, I could do more. I'm just not applying myself. I'm not pushing myself. And that's the part that I want to talk to you about a little bit. I had stopped dreaming because I had told myself this is the most that I can do and I can't do more than this, and so I'm just going to settle here. I'm going to make do with what I have. I made sure if I left the house, I didn't go anywhere near the store because I would unnecessarily buy stuff. And of course, baby girl's going to be with me, so I want to buy donuts and I want to buy chocolate and I want to buy, she loves ice cream cones, just the cone, no ice cream, but little things like that that I'd want to buy for her and make her feel like she has like a pretty privileged life. But I realized also that settling here means I'm not moving forward, I'm not expanding, and I had to go dig into why. What I discovered was I was still a little bit afraid of saying what I'm saying because here in Singapore, the mental health field, landscape, I don't know what you want to call it, the area where we talk about mental health is still very, very much circled around diagnosis and prescription. And as much as I understand some people really do need to be able to balance their hormones, they need to chemically induce a balance in their hormones, I know that most people just need a couple of tools in hand, as in like skill sets that they can use in order to settle the chaos in their lives, and they will find a measure of peace. Talking to a client the other day, and I realized that, you know what? People here in Singapore generally have this idea that you have to manipulate people into being around you rather than just being who you are and being proud of who you are and allowing people to come and go as they realize whether or not you're a good fit for each other. They still take rejection really harshly. They think that it's a rejection of their entire being, not that, this particular characteristic isn't a good fit for the person that they are. And they're having a tough time letting people go. They feel like if they lose anyone, that they're a failure in life. And so they're hanging on for dear life. They're manipulating people into staying. They're telling people what they think they want to hear instead of being who they actually are. And so it's creating a lot of unnecessary chaos. I realized for myself, because I was afraid of going against the grain with all of this, because I'm not governed by Singapore, I'm not, part of any board here, and that's on purpose because I don't want anyone telling me what I can and can't teach, because I feel like education should be a little bit of everything. You should be able to find the kinds of education that you want, considering the needs that you have in your life. Now, maybe you need to know that, depression is forever. And once you're diagnosed, and that's the way it is. And you're just going to have to be on medication the rest of your life. Maybe you need that. But I'd like to give you another option. I'd like to be able to tell you, hey, okay, let's go dig into what it is that you're not so happy about. What is it in your life that makes you feel so low and so worthless and so hopeless? Because maybe if we identify what it is, if we call it out by its name, maybe we can find a way to rectify the situation so it no longer bothers you, or it's no longer in a place where it's always, in your face and upsetting you. So those are the kinds of things that I'm trying to teach. And as much as I wanted to shout it from the rooftops and let the entire universe come to me, I am still a little bit afraid that there might be one or two people that don't agree with me. Now, on a logical level, I know that there's always going to be a couple people that don't like what I'm saying. There's always going to be some people that feel like, you know what, I don't think she's real. I think she's a fraud. I think she made up all this shit. I don't believe who she is. I don't trust what she's saying. No one go to her. And that's maybe part of the reason that I'm scared, because I don't want some bad publicity to kind of like spread through the masses. But I also know I can't stay here no more. It's too small for me. And so here I am trying to stretch outside of my comfort zone and try really hard to level up, measure up to the expectation I do have of myself, because I had to finally expand that expectation. For a while, I thought I could live this quiet life and quietly counsel a couple people and quietly, move about my house and enjoy my company and enjoy my baby. And, we'd have a great life. But slowly but surely, the public is calling for more attention from me. And they're slowly telling me that, there are these things in their lives that they're having trouble with. And so I have no choice but to expand out of that comfort zone. So, back to the topic at hand. Why did I stop dreaming? I was afraid that dreaming would make me feel worse about my current status of affairs when it comes to money. I was afraid that dreaming would be kind of an empty pipe dream. I would be writing all these goals and I want this and I want that. And as much as I want to say that, yeah, okay, I could plot a course towards that goal, I wasn't confident in myself that I could actually execute and get there. And that's part of the problem. I need you guys to think about that for a little bit. What is it in your life that you really, really want? But you've decided to put it on a back burner or shove it to some farthest reach of your mind so you don't think about it that often because you're afraid of what that would mean. You're afraid that it would mean more work, more hours at work. Maybe it would mean that you can't spend on everyday stuff like drinking or going out to eat. You may have to save instead. Maybe that means that you can't have your luxurious coffee every day in the morning because if you saved that money, maybe you'd have enough to invest into something else that you really wanted. Maybe it's the fact that, you smoke a lot and you're not sure if you can sustain the smoking habit, but that also means that you have to let go of that comfort grip you have on this oral fixation that makes you feel comfortable. You have to find something else to replace it, which that's totally possible. You just have to want it bad enough. And so for me, anything that hurts my pockets teaches me a big lesson. It really does. I've had so many situations where I thought I really needed this app and I'm going to pay for this app and I'm going to use it all the time. And for a while I did, but I didn't see any return on investment when it came to putting the money in monthly. And so eventually I had to look at it and be like, you know what, I'm hemorrhaging $10 a month on this and $15 a month on that. And do I really need it? Have I actually used it? And I had to get real clear on what it is that I was doing and what it is that I was wasting money on. And I cut back and I felt better. It felt like I had more control over my money. For a long time, I remember I had a checking and a savings account. The checking account was attached to a debit card, obviously, so I could, buy things without having to have cash in hand. But what I also realized is everything is attached to my checking account, including those subscriptions. And eventually what I needed to do was to move all of the bulk of the money out of my checking account in order to find out where the money was going. Because I didn't want to pore over my account statements and figure out where the money was going. I wanted it to hit me whenever, somebody said, oh, this is overdue, you haven't paid this. And then I get to check it out and see, well, am I using it? Is it really helpful to me? Is it, a resource that I actually need? And I get to cut it off if it's dead weight, basically. So all of these things to say that money and me, we've had a rocky relationship, but I know what I have to do. And I know that dreaming is not a bad thing. I just have to be willing to put in the grease, the elbow grease to be able to get to where I need to be so I can enjoy some of these luxuries I'm looking at. Of course, I have this habit sometimes where I get into a place where I do have some good money and I want to spend it on myself. And I do get carried away sometimes and I do buy some stuff that doesn't make any sense. But I've also learned to reconcile that as in, okay, one time we all go out and get ice cream and it's not going to kill me, but it would make me feel better, like I'm able to treat myself once in a while. Something as simple as ice cream, something as simple as a smoothie. Even if it's a loyalty program and I get a free smoothie, I know I earned that because I went through, I don't know how many times I needed to be able to earn that free smoothie, but it still makes me feel good. And so I'm here trying to explain to you that as much as you want to cope with the money that you have, there are ways and means to get to that next level that you're craving as well. If you're willing to put in the time to be honest with yourself, to really look at your finances, what's coming in, what's going out, how much is your finance, the income actually predictable and recreatable. And by that, I mean, if you made $500 this month, can you guarantee you make another 500 next month? Do you know how to make sure that happens without having to put in the effort to get the 500 all over again so that you can focus your efforts elsewhere? The same thing goes with sales teams. I know that I've talked to a couple of people in my day and I've trained sales teams to be able to perform at such a level that they don't feel like they are selling nonsense, but they actually feel like they're providing a solution to a problem that a client already has. So I feel like that actually helps the mindset about what it is that you're doing, so you feel good about what you're doing and you feel good about where it is that you spend your money. All of that makes sense. All that really, really matters. And I thank Ken Honda and Mindvalley for teaching me a little bit of this. I still had a ways to go, but I'm slowly realizing sometimes you need a little chaos to shake things up and prove to you that you could, if you really wanted to, spend more money and make more money, that the money will always be there. You just have to wrap your head around the idea that It's going to take some work. It's going to take you not feeling so timid about, what you want in life, and then just go out there and get it. So I hope this made sense, you guys. And if you have any questions, as always, please drop them in the comments below. But in the meantime, think about your relationship with money, because that is one of your biggest relationships outside of your human relationships, and it does affect everything you do and how you feel about your life. I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.